Owning Fernando Tatis Jr. was last season was an absolute headache in fantasy baseball leagues. However, what are the odds that Tatis actually gets back to his MVP caliber self this year? We'll discuss that and more on today's action-packed episode of Locked On Fantasy Baseball.
You are Locked On Fantasy Baseball, your daily fantasy baseball podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics, and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Sports Network, your team every day. As always, we're your number one source for fantasy baseball knowledge, and thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. As always, I'm your host, Dominic Martino, and here with my brother, as always, Matthew Ane.
Yo.
You can find us on all social media platforms, podcasting apps. Just search for Locked On Fantasy Baseball, and we'll be there. Please be sure to leave a 5-star rating on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you may listen. And if you could throw in a little review, we'd appreciate that as well. And if you're watching on YouTube, please be sure to like and subscribe. Also comment, because we love talking fantasy baseball with you. Real quick, guys, we just want to throw it out there once again. Matt and I are super close to reaching that 1,000 subscriber mark on YouTube. So if you enjoy this podcast, or even if you're new here, please just share us with a friend who also plays fantasy baseball, or just, some friends that just love the MLB, because that's what we do over here. We love to talk baseball. And on today's episode, Matt and I are heading back into the prospects. Oh, what am I got my head all jangled up over here. We're talking about shortstops, guys. Today we're heading back into the rankings with shortstop. I know everyone's been enjoying our little ranking episodes, and we are doing shortstop. So Matt and I's rankings are based on 5x5 head-to-head categories leagues. It also works for Roto. We will try and give you a little bit of a point spin on things, but that is not Matt and I's specialty over here. So we're going to be going down Fantasy Pros ADP here. So if you want to follow along, you can click that. But if you also want to follow along with Matt and I's rankings, you can pull them up on our website, which is in our link tree. Literally, just link tree is available on all of our social media platforms. Just click the link tree, and I believe the website is right at the top. It says website on it. All right, so let's dig in, my brother Matt. Who is up first for today?
Well, probably one of the debatable number one first pick overall guys. That's Mr. Trea Turner. Trea Turner is, as you know, probably one of the best shortstops in the game and can steal you 1,000,001 bases. And I don't think this year is going to be any different. I think that he's on a better team. He's going to be in a better position to get stuff done and really take the next step forward. The only thing is that I could say is on my knock against Trea Turner is the fact that he's in a new team, new city again, and he's going to need some time to adjust. So he may have a slow start, but I don't think that Trea Turner is going to hurt you due to the fact that he's going to steal 60 bags if they'll let him. I think that he's going to still hit for average and whatnot, but I mean, he's not really known to be like this crazy power guy anyway. So even if the home runs dip, you're not really drafting him for that. You're drafting for everything else. And with that lineup, they're going to bring him home like crazy. But that's my little take on Trea Turner. I think he's going to be a great number one first overall pick.
Matt, where do you have Trea Turner ranked in your shortstop rankings, brother?
1.
I have Trea Turner ranked 1 as well. And let's just recap what Trea Turner did last year. Trea Turner played 160 games, 652 at-bats, 101 runs, 39 doubles, 4 triples, 21 bombs, 100 RBIs, 27 stolen bags, and he hit 298. I don't think he drives in 100 again, but, it should be around 80-ish. The runs, he could definitely score 100 runs. The bombs probably going to be 20 plus. The batting average, Trea Turner's a career .302 hitter. So, I mean, he's a 5-tool guy, and there's obviously a reason why Trea Turner could arguably be that number one pick. But, if you need more information about Trea Turner, I mean, I don't know. Unless you're new. If you're new, that's fine. But if you've been playing a few years and you don't know about Trea Turner already, that's on you at this point. But let's keep it pushing here, and let's go with the number 2 ranked according to ADP shortstop. That is Bobby Witt Jr. And Matt, I promise I will keep my rant very short and neat, and so you could talk about your boy here. Now, Bobby Witt Jr. broke out last year as a rookie. Him and Julio kind of took the league by storm. Last year, Bobby Witt Jr. played 150 games, 591 at-bats. He had 82 runs, 31 doubles, 6 triples, 20 bombs, 80 RBIs, 30 steals, and he had 254. Now, I have Bobby a little bit lower in my shortstop rankings. I have Bobby at 7. And I mean, the thing is, everybody above him has just done it before. And that's the only reason I want to see Bobby do it one more time before I anoint him in that, top bracket of the shortstop rankings. But he certainly belongs. He certainly does belong. He could be a 5-tool guy. We just got to see him get back to that, that batting average that he had in the minors. He had 290 in 2021. He had 262 in 2019. I think he could definitely be a 5-tool guy. And he's currently coming off the board, as I said, number 2 shortstop, pick 16.6 overall. Little rich for my blood, but especially with shortstop being so deep, but Bobby Witt Jr. has the tool to be, MVP candidate this year.
Yeah, I mean, Bobby's great. Bobby's Bobby. I just had to say that. Bobby's great, but he's definitely not the number 2 overall shortstop for me either. Fernando Tatis is for me. I have Bobby as 3, so it's not too far off, but I feel that Bobby's being drafted in the second round, an early second round, because his ADP is 16 overall. So that's like 4 picks into the second round. That's a little high. You're drafting him right at his ceiling there, and I think that's where you're getting into that danger zone. Now, do I think Bobby's going to have this incredible season? Absolutely. But here's the thing, though. You don't ever draft a player at their ceiling, especially a young player.
Well said.
That's where, I take a step back. That's why he's not my number 2. Because Bobby, I mean, if you're talking about drafting him at ceiling, then, hey, let's talk about what he could do, right? So Bobby can have 30 home runs. Bobby can have 30 stolen bases. He can bat for about 280 to 290. And he could get 100 and 100 with runs and ribbies. He's a 5-category guy. He's great. But is he going to take that step forward, or could he have a sophomore slump? And that's the question. It's on the bubble. I don't think the latter, but I also don't see him taking that full step to 30-30. I think it's going to be more like in the range of 25 to 30. And I just right there and then that's where I draw the line. But he's great. But that's it for me. Let's talk
Real
about
quick, Matt. One more thing about Bobby. I do love Bobby as well. I know that's your boy, but he's one of the fastest players in baseball when it comes to sprint speed. So if he stole 40 bags this year with the bigger bases, I wouldn't be shocked. And if the power stayed around 25, you're still going to have a bargain with him. But my fault. I just wanted to throw that out there, that he's super fast.
Fair point. He's going to be the second fastest person now because, Mr. Corbin Carroll. But
he's super fast too.
Yes. All right, let's talk about this next guy here, Mr. Bichette. Bichette is great, but Bichette slumped last year in terms of where we all were drafting him. Is like people were drafting him as like the 3rd, 4th pick in the draft because he had that amazing 2021 season, but really had a real slump in this past year, and I'm really blown away by it because I was really high on him too, but I wasn't drafting him that high. I had the same take I was having on Bobby Witt that I was having on Bichette, and it panned out. I wasn't taking him that high. If he fell to me in the second or third, in the 3rd round, I was happy, which was not happening. So I didn't have a single share of Bichette, and I'm glad I didn't. But Bichette didn't have a horrendous year either. But again, he was drafted at a ceiling. So last year he had 652 at bats, 91 runs. He had 43 doubles, 1 triple, 24 home runs, 93 ribbies, 13 stolen bases. He struck out a boatload, but still hit a 290. So, I mean, like I said, he didn't have a bad year, but everybody was expecting him to have 30 stolen bases since he had 25 the year before. Everybody expected to have 29, 30 home runs. He only had 24. Like, those are big differences, right? So this is the danger of drafting somebody that high at their ceiling. So, again, proven method. Take a step back on Bobby Witt, and then I'll bring it full circle with Bichette, and I'll say, hey, I think right now this is a decent price. I'd still draft Fernando Tatis over him, but it's not bad. He's actually going at
A little high still.
Oh, still too high for me. 17. It's a little rich for my blood. Again, I'm more in like the end of the second. I'd be okay with it. But more preferably in the 3rd. He's another one based off ADP. I'm keeping my hands off. That's why I'm taking a step back from Bichette.
Yeah, shortstop is so deep this year, as you can see as we go through these rankings. This episode might be a little bit longer because the shortstop is just so deep. There's so many guys to talk about. The thing with Bichette is that he struggled a little bit in the first half. I don't even want to say a lot, just a little bit. It was more of the first couple of months that he struggled. But when it came to the second half, Bo Bichette actually, really, really showed out. In the second half, Bo Bichette played, bear with me here. In the second half, in the second half, Bo Bichette played 67 games. He had 267 at-bats, 42 runs, 23 doubles, 10 bombs, 43 RBIs, 6 steals, but he hit 337 compared to 257 in the first half. And I think Bo Bichette, the pitchers adjusted to him, but he adjusted back, and that's always what you want to see. You want to see a guy that can say, hey, the pitchers are pitching me different, so I'm going to adjust and I'm going to bounce back. Bo Bichette is still super young at only 25 this year. That Blue Jays lineup is absolutely star-studded. So I have Bo Bichette ranked as my third shortstop. Am I taking him at pick 17? Absolutely not, because shortstop is absolutely so deep. But with that being said, Matt, my brother, I'm going to pass this back off to you.
Thank you, sir. Up next, we'll be discussing the next couple of shortstops that can possibly be a value or could be overpriced. You'll find out that and more after this. These days, every new potential hire can be a high stake wager for small businesses. You want to be certain that you have 100%. You have 100% certain you have access to all the best qualified candidates available. That's why you check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster, and for free. So, with that being said, it's super easy to use LinkedIn, and they have all these simple tools, and you can ask some screening questions and really narrow it down to find the right candidates. So what I try to do as somebody that was helps with the hiring process, I try to make sure that we narrow it down the search, make sure we have the right candidates sitting in front of me, and LinkedIn delivers that right there, right in front of me, and I don't have to sift through a bunch of useless resumes. So LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the most qualified candidates you can talk to and post your job ads for free. LinkedIn.com/LockedOnMLB. That's LinkedIn.com/LockedOnMLB to post your job for free. Terms and conditions may apply. Now, everybody, I also, before we get moving on the shortstops, I want to ask everybody if they can just, hit that little subscribe button, give us a like, follow us on your podcasting, wherever you're listening from. And if you can give us a review, we'd really appreciate it. It helps us come back here every day and do what we love. Way, guys. Yeah, it really does. And helps us grow. But without further ado, let's talk about the guy I probably mentioned about 50 times. and that's Mr. Fernando Tatis. Dom, take this one away.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I do got the City Connect Fernando Tatis jersey on, so I appreciate the toss my way. So let's start off with the bad first, and then we can move on to the good. So last year, Tatis had the problem with the shoulder, the problem with the wrist, then he gets popped for the PEDs, big suspension. And everyone, as I said at the beginning of the podcast, it was an absolute headache to own Tatis last year, especially when he was just getting hot on his minor league rehab assignment. You get popped for steroids. So, the thing is Tatis is still fairly young. He's actually pretty young, going to be 24 years old this year. And let's say at 23 years old, were you guys making the best decisions in life? Probably not. I know I wasn't making the best decisions. So I think we cut the kid, a little bit of slack, and we say, hey, listen, if you got your head on straight, you could be an MVP caliber player. But if he comes back this year and he's playing the same bonehead games, you've been winning bonehead prizes, we said next year, you obviously bump him back down. But the thing with Tatis is, in the offseason, apparently he locked back in. He got, the wrist taken care of, got the shoulder taken care of, got surgery on both, I believe. And it seems like, he's playing in spring training right now. He hasn't really gotten off to a hot start, but that's okay. Spring training, that's what it's for, to get, ready for the regular season. But let's look back at Tatis's 2021. 130 games, 478 at-bats, 99 runs, 42 bombs, 97 RBIs, 25 steals, and he had 282. So now Tatis can technically play 130 games again this year, right? He's going to miss the first 3 weeks. I believe he comes back on April 20th. So around 130 games-ish. So if he gives you 40-plus bombs, 25 steals, almost 100 and 100 in the counting stats, and he hits for a plus batting average, he's a career 292 hitter over 273 games, over 1,000 at-bats. That's arguably the best fantasy player in the league. I have Tatis as my number 2 shortstop. I think you could draft him with confidence. Right now, he's going after Bobby Witt and Bo Bichette. He's going near the end of that second round. And I think Tatis is just a great pick. And then you just make sure you supplement it by taking one of these deeper shortstops a little bit later on. There's a lot of good ones going after 140, 150. You got Amin Rosario, Cronenworth, and a bunch of other guys that will probably get to later. Nico Horner. And that's just a nice supplement until Tatis gets back. I absolutely love the kid. Let's give him one more chance.
Yeah, Tatis is definitely worth the shot. I mean, the scariest part is you read off those numbers of what he did that year.
Yeah.
And if you really think about it, he didn't even have half the team he's going to have around him now.
Yes, sir.
Like the addition of Soto and Machado, because Machado wasn't there when he did these numbers, if I remember correctly.
No, he
was
there.
I apologize.
He was there.
There was Bogaerts. I apologize.
Yeah, Bogaerts.
Yeah, sorry, brain fart. Anyway, so like that talent alone, guys getting a base in front of him, plus having Machado behind him, that team is going to be pushing full speed ahead, and they're going to be dangerous this year. It's just going to be between them and the Phillies. It's going to be a great, great NL this year. But I think that's enough on Fernando Tatis. Let's move on to somebody else. That's Mr. Marcus Semien. Marcus Semien is going a little high from my blood. So Marcus Semien's the 27th overall pick by ADP. I could understand the ADP just based off of the fact that I would draft him to be my second baseman. I would not draft him this high to be my shortstop. So like he's being talked about because he has the eligibility and we're talking about him at shortstop. But personally, if you're drafting to be your shortstop at this high, you're doing yourself harm because he's my number 6 shortstop, and that's still floating between 6 and 7 because this morning he was 7. Semien is just a product of just being better, has better value of being at a second base, but he's still a great player. Let me tell you what he did. Even though we just broke him down last week, so I won't spend too much time on him. I won't spend too much time. We'll just go over it. If you want a better breakdown on Semien, go back to the second base rankings episode. But I'll just read you off his stats quick, and then we'll move on. So in 657 at-bats, he had 101 runs, 31 doubles, 5 triples, 26 home runs, 83 ribbies, 25 stolen bases, and batted at 248. Now, let's just hope that the power comes back and almost gets to that 40 range again. Or even the 35, and that batting average gets back up to the 265 career average that he's at, and then he's back to being him because it was first year on the Texans. So, other than that, again, like I said, don't draft him as your shortstop. Draft him as your second.
Yeah, man, I'm gonna just chime in there. And the thing was, Semien had an absolutely putrid start. I'm trying to break it down here of when he got really, really hot and give you guys an idea of what he actually did. I don't know if it was, like Matt said, first year on a new team type of ordeal with Semien, but let's check this out, right? So from May 18th to October 5th, Semien 127 games, 523 at-bats, 88 runs, 24 doubles, 26 bombs, 75 RBIs. He stole 23 bases and he had 272 during that time. So I think we cut him a little bit of slack. We say, hey, listen, he was adjusting, getting ready for the new team, stuff like that. I actually do like where Marcus Semien's going. It's a pretty solid pick for a power speed guy that's going to have good counting stats, and he could potentially get back to having a plus batting average too, because he's actually, he's a guy that can hit for decent average, especially as he's gotten older. He's been a little bit better at hitting. He hit 285 in 2019. He hit 265 in 2021. I know he's a career 255 guy, but as I said, over the last few years, he's been showing he's a little bit better at it. Let's say pick 27 is pretty solid for him. I have Semien at my 6th shortstop, and I do as Matt said, like him better at second base. So definitely need to take him as a second baseman over a shortstop. But let's keep it pushing here. Let's talk about our next guy. And that is one of the faces of the New York Mets, a crosstown rival here. But, no hate for the Mets, no hate for the Mets. If they make it far, definitely we'll root for them over the Yankees, if the Yankees don't make it. But Francisco Lindor. Francisco Lindor had an absolutely bounce back year last year, second year with the Mets. As Matt and I keep saying, first year on a new team, sometimes the guys don't do what they normally do. But it was an outlier year for Francisco Lindor. In 2021, because in 2022, Lindor played 161 games, 630 at-bats, 98 runs, 25 doubles, doing 5 triples, 26 bombs, 107 ribbies, 16 steals, and he hit 270. Lindor's a career 277 hitter. He's a plus in the home runs. He chips in a decent amount of steals. The counting stats are absolutely wonderful. I have Lindor as my number 4 shortstop, so I think he's an absolute bargain right now, going as the 6th shortstop, pick 32. I think that's fair game for Lindor, to be honest.
Yeah, buddy, Lindor is great. But before I give you that breakdown on Francisco Lindor and more, we have a little something coming up. So, welcome back. I'm going to give you my breakdown on Francisco Lindor. Lindor is great. Dom pretty much covered him really well. My only thing is, I think that he's going to just keep doing what he's going to do. And I have him ranked right now at my 4th overall shortstop. I think he's
we're in sync.
Yeah, really incredible. And, that team's just getting better and better every day. So Francisco Lindor for days. Let's move on here. Mr. Corey Seager. Corey Seager's great. He's another one that's a product of being on a new team and, started off a little slow, but I think ultimately ended up with a decent season. The batting average was really the thing that really suffered. Other than that, I really wasn't upset with his performance. In 593 at bats, he had 91 runs, 24 doubles, a triple, 33 home runs, 83 ribs, 3 stolen bases, and had a 245 batting average. So, I mean, to be honest, the only thing really missing there that Corey Seager doesn't do is that Corey Seager regularly does is his batting average. And that can come back up to like 290, 300, which is where he lives. He's going to be much better and, give you way more value back on that pick. Corey Seager is somebody I like to target in drafts. I think that he's going to have a phenomenal season. That Texas team is getting more comfortable, bringing on more talent, calling up some talent. And I think that, he's in for a real nice year, especially if he could just stay healthy, which please stay healthy, because he's another phalanges guy. So, if Seager stays healthy and does his thing, he's going to be a great value.
I think I'm going to keep this short and sweet. I think Seager has a monster bounce back season in him. It was an outlier year last year as far as the batting average goes. Seager's a career 287 hitter. Last year, Seager hit 245. The shift is going away. Seager is an absolutely amazing hitter in the sense of he can put the ball where the defense isn't now, and that's going to benefit him tremendously. He found his power stroke last year, getting up to 33 bombs. I think the only thing he's not going to do is steal your bases, but you could supplement that later in your draft by taking guys that do. At pick 50 right now, Corey Seager is an absolute steal going in about the 4th round or so. But let's move on to our next guy here, and that is Dansby Swanson, I believe. Dansby Swanson is coming off the board as number 8 shortstop, pick 73 overall. Now, if Dansby was still at the Braves, I'd say, oh, yeah, this is, a great spot to go get Dansby. But he moves over to the Cubs, first year on the team. The Cubs is like a mishmash of guys that if this was a team like 2 or 3 years ago, I'd be all about it. But let's see what Bellinger could do. Let's see what Trey Mancini can do. Eric Hosmer is kind of washed. It's just a mix of old guys that are getting a little bit washed up and young bloods that are, on their way to being great. So right now, the Cubs team is kind of in flux. Let's read what Dansby did last year. He played every game of the season, all 162, 640 at-bats, 99 runs, 32 doubles, 25 bombs, 96 RBIs, 18 steals, and 277. So now the thing is, I think he could still be a 25 bomb guy. He could still steal you a decent amount of bases. Batting average is a little bit suspect. He's been better over the last, 2 out of 3 years, but he's a career 255 guy, so I wouldn't be surprised if it slipped a little bit. But the counting stats aren't going to be 90 plus. That's my only problem here with Dansby. I kind of buried him, to be honest. I moved him all the way down to 16. It's just shortstop is so deep this year, guys. That's I'm not really targeting Dansby Swanson at pick 73. Too high for me.
Yeah, and I mean, here's the other thing too. I think Dansby Swanson is actually more of a product of needing to get that paycheck and in that contract year kind of guy where, hey, I'm going to play balls to the walls and I'm going to do the best I can to get paid. And then I'm going to go back to doing what I'm doing. That's a 248 average, getting 70 runs and, getting 70 ribbies, 80 ribbies in the year before. So we'll go with that. We'll say 80, 88, which he's no longer on the Atlanta Braves, like Dom said. So I'm going to say he's going to be a 70 guy with 25 home runs and probably bat 248. Like, this number 8 overall shortstop is atrocious. He's my 17th shortstop.
Yeah, we're in sync.
And, it's just one of those things where, I mean, you're picking him at the 73rd pick overall. You're just wasting a pick there. I promise you can get better value and a better pick on somebody else than Dansby Swanson. And we'll talk about them too. So let's move on here. Let's talk about somebody else here, and somebody that we don't know if they're going to be a bust or if they're going to be going to break out and then do everything that we thought they were going to do. And that's Mr. Oneil Cruz. Oneil Cruz is a curious case because you don't know if what we saw last year was, good or bad, because he started off hot like a bat out of hell and then kind of got figured out and then struck out everywhere under the sun.
It was a little bit of the other way around. He started off struggling and then he got hot at the end.
Right. I apologize. My signals are all crossed here.
It's all good. It's all good, brother.
Right. But I mean, he hit for power, and he's on a terrible team. That's the other knock. And to be honest, I think his batting average comes up. I don't think he's going to stay at 233. But I don't see how high it could possibly get with him being like a career. Oh, well, not 300 hitter. So never mind. I'm just terrible at Oneil Cruz. I just don't think I like him. But it's hard to say. I would like to say that he's going to bounce back. But here's the thing: you're drafting him at your ceiling. Bottom line, it's going to be the same argument for Bo and for Bobby Witt, right? You're drafting Oneil Cruz at 74. Now, would I pick him over Dansby Swanson? Hell yeah. I'm also not drafting either of them in the 70s range, which is like end of round 6, beginning of round 7. Like that's really high. I'm sorry, I can't spend that price. I think if anything, if he was in closer to pick 100, that's where I take that shot. That's where Bobby Witt was being drafted last year. Yeah. That's where Ronald Acuna was drafted. That's where you feel comfortable taking a shot on those young guys. Not 74.
It's so tough with Oneil Cruz, man. I'll start my little rant here. So Oneil Cruz, like Matt was saying, he kind of started off a little bit slow, like most rookies do. But then from September 6th to October 5th, Oneil Cruz, 26 games, 106 at bats, 18 runs, 6 doubles, a triple, 5 bombs, 17 RBIs, 5 steals, and he had 293. So he adjusted, he said, hey, listen, I'm in the bigs now. I kind of got to get back to doing my thing. And he certainly did. He raked throughout all of his minor league career. Right now in spring training, he's doing pretty well. 4 games, 3 hits, 10 at-bats, a home run, a steal, 2 RBIs, and he's hitting 300. He's only struck out once. He's yet to walk, though. In the minors, Oneil Cruz just, absolutely kind of tore it up. In 2021, he played 69 games, 62 runs, 16 doubles, 17 bombs, 19 steals. He had 310. And the thing is, he hits the ball harder than anybody else in the league. He has the best exit velocity that we've ever seen from anybody, even better than Giancarlo Stanton. And there's a reason the guy is 6'7", 220 pounds. He also throws the ball really hard. He's in redraft. I'll agree with Matt. He pick 74 is crazy high, but if you're doing a dynasty or a keeper or anything like that, I think he might wind up being worth the risk. He could be a 40-40 guy even this year. The counting stats might not be there, but if he hits 270, 40-40 with even like 70 and 70 in the counting stats, it could be worth it. I have Oneil Cruz as my 10th shortstop right now.
Sheesh.
Yeah, I don't know. There's just something about the kid. I don't know.
I don't blame you. But let's move on. Let's talk about somebody else here. Let's talk about Mr. Xander Bogaerts, somebody else that's moved on to another team now with the Padres. And, I think it's a great fit. I think that, Bogaerts is probably going to have a really good season. Just Bogaerts is one of those guys that's just old reliable. I think that, he is who he is, right? He's going to get you about 84 runs. He's going to get you about 73 ribbies, right? He's going to chip in almost 10 stolen bases, and he's going to hit 300 and then probably get you about 15 home runs. That's just Bogaerts, right? Now, I think that the counting stats come up in the run department because he's not on Boston anymore. So I'll probably give him like 95 to 100 runs. And then ribbies, depending on how nice and how frisky he's going to be if he's hitting into where the shift is no longer. He might be able to, tack in a couple more ribbies, maybe get into that almost 90 range, and he's pretty valuable. I don't have him below that crazy outrageously ranked either. I have him ranked Xander at my number 9. I think
That's perfect.
it's
Perfect.
a great spot for him. And personally, I think that with the price he's going for right now, which is the 77th, like he's the guy. Like you have those 3 guys there, like sitting in row. I'm talking redraft. I'm scooping Xander Bogaerts over them because I know what I'm getting. I'm going to get somebody reliable. I'm trying to win that league now, not 5 years from now.
Yeah.
And nobody's touching Dansby Swanson if you listen to this. But anyway, Bogaerts is a safe bet, and he's the guy I trust out of that grouping because they're literally going right behind each other.
Yeah, Matt, that was great analysis. I'm just going to chip in my 2 cents, keep it quick. I think he could hit closer to 20 bombs. If you average it out from 2016 to 2022, he averages about 19 a season. So I think he could, get a little bit more motivated on a little bit of a better team. He could hit for a little bit more pop. So he's pretty much like a 4.5 tool guy because he chips in a little bit of steals too. Depends where he hits in that, San Diego lineup as far as, where he's going to be heavier in the runs or RBIs. I have Xander as my number 8 shortstop. Absolutely love Xander Bogaerts this year, and especially in redraft, I will take him over Oneil Cruz. But let's keep it pushing here. Let's try and bang out a few more. We got Tommy Edman up next, but guys, we've ranted about Tommy Edman so much on this podcast. Matt and I aren't in love with him. If you want a guy that's going to give you some runs and steals, I guess you could take him. I have Tommy Edman buried as my 19th shortstop. I like him better as a second baseman. Right now, Tommy Edman is the 11th shortstop according to Fantasy Pros ADP pick 79. I wouldn't touch him with a 10-foot pole.
No, definitely not. Yeah, he's my number 16. So, I mean, I'm right there with you. He's just, again, second base is more where it is. Same thing as Semien. Let's move on to an exciting name, Dom. Do you want to take it?
Yeah, I'll do a little Gunnar Henderson talk. Now, Gunnar Henderson was, I believe he is the number 1 overall prospect right now. The kid's got all the upside in the world. I will say this. I think I have him ranked higher at third base than shortstop. I have Gunnar 14 at shortstop. I have him 8 at third base. So I'd probably be targeting him more as a third baseman. He was pretty solid last year in his first year in the bigs. He played 34 games, 12 runs, 7 doubles, a triple, 4 bombs, 18 RBIs, chipped in a steal, hit 259. And in the minors, he was even better than that. 112 games, 101 runs, 24 doubles, 7 triples, 19 homers, 76 RBIs, 22 steals, and he had 297. I'll say this. I like Oneil Cruz's upside better than Gunner's, but Gunner's on a better team. So Gunner's a solid target. I think definitely I would definitely take a risk on Gunnar at pick 85, but I would be looking at him more as my third baseman. And you could even wait on shortstop a little bit if you didn't already have one.
Right. And fair assessment, Gunner's more of a third baseman guy. Now, instead of us keep going down because we're running out of time here, Dom, I'm going to ask you, who is your 2 favorite late round shortstops?
All right. So I think there's one guy we should give a little bit of attention to here before we fully move on. Let's talk a little bit about Wander Franco first before we, keep a push into the late round guys. I think, last year, my argument was Wander Franco was going way too high. I believe he was going, in the top 50. And I said, why risk a top 50 pick on Wander Franco when you got a guy like Tim Anderson later? I know Tim Anderson got hurt, but Tim Anderson was playing pretty well before he did get hurt. I think this is the year that Wander finally takes off, though. And you can get Wander right now, super late, 14th shortstop pick, 90 overall. I think this is the year. He's doing very well so far in spring training. 4 games, 8 at-bats, 4 hits, a double, a home run, 4 RBIs, a steal. He's walked 3 times, struck out once, and he's hitting 500 overall. My estimate for what I think Wander Franco could do this year as a 22-year-old, let's not forget Wander Franco was number 1 prospect. He's still only 22. I think he could see 15 to 18 bombs. Maybe he gets you 15 to 20 steals, but he could hit 300 and have great counting stats. And especially if you're in a keeper or dynasty and everyone's forgotten about Wander Franco and he's still going off the board pretty late, definitely a target. Matt, I don't know if you want to chip in here in the Wander Franco talk before we throw out some other names at the shortstop position that we do like.
Oh yeah, I think that Wander is going to be great. I think he's going to be wandering himself into like being a top 50
Yeah,
player by the end of the season.
yeah.
You like that, right?
I
Oh,
do, I do. I don't know what it is about shortstop, but a lot of these guys I really, really like this year.
yeah, and I mean, you know what? He also has third base eligibility, and that's kind of more where I'm drafting him. And like, hence why he's lower in our shortstop ranking than he would be in our third base rankings as well. But Wander is taking the same path Vladimir Guerrero Jr. did, right? Vlad took 3 years to really take that step forward. And I think that this is the year. This is his third year in the bigs where he could finally figure it out. Now, I'm saying he's not going to go and hit 40 home runs, 45 home runs like Vlad did, but maybe he can finally get to that 20 range and just be that guy. That's the upside, right? And he's actually at a reasonable price at 93. Like, yo, I'll take him there. I'll feel comfortable. And that's my third baseman. And I got other guys to make up with the talent. He's going to steal me bases and hit for average. I'm gold. I'm happy. If he bottoms out and his floor is what he did last year, I'm okay with it. It is what it is. That's a 93-year overall pick.
Yeah.
It's the same stats as what you're going to get from Xander Bogaerts. And I'm okay with drafting him at 72. So I'm going to get him at 93. I'm good with this.
Real
So,
quick, I do just want to throw out, I think they stripped Wander of his third base eligibility. I know
no, don't tell me that.
Yahoo did take it away, so I'm gonna assume if Yahoo didn't give it to him, I don't know if he's got it anywhere else. But all right, Matt, let's throw out some other shortstops that we are a fan of. Andres Jimenez almost went 2020 last year. He's an absolute stud. He's very, very young. I think there's a lot of upside for him on that Guardians team. I do like Tim Anderson as well. Tim Anderson is healthy. He's playing well so far in spring training. Guy can hit for 300 batting average, decent amount of pop in that bat. Two counting stats might not be great depending on, on Chicago's White Sox team. He could have a lot of runs, though, with Eloy and Robert behind him if Tim Anderson leads off. You can never forget about Carlos Correa. His second year on the Twins. Let's see what he does. He's got some pop in that bat. He had 290 plus last year. Let's see how the runs and the RBIs are. Not 100% sure on how it's going to pan out for Mr. Correa, but we will see. Matt, why don't you talk a little bit about Jeremy Pena? I know it's somebody you're super high on, and everyone else should be as well. He's coming off the board as 18th shortstop, pick 116. A lot of value there.
Yeah, I mean, that's a steal for Pena because truthfully, like he could blow up and just be the guy. And we were just on the I'm sorry, I hit the wrong guy. We were just on the Locked On Astros yesterday, which that should be airing tomorrow, I believe.
Yeah, check that out, guys.
And they're big fans of Pena because all they do is watch Astros. And what he did in the playoffs, I think, is indicative of what we could possibly see this season, right? And he didn't have a bad season last year for the first time being up for the first time being in the bigs. He stayed healthy. He had 521 at bats. He had 72 runs, 22 home runs, 63 ribbies, 11 stolen bases, and he batted 253. I mean, that's a great year for somebody coming right up into the bigs. And he's having a good spring, too. I mean, right now he has 2 runs, 3 hits, right? He has a triple, 2 ribs. He's batting about 214, but I mean, that'll change. But I think it's pretty decent, pretty nice start for him. And then, I mean, straight up last year was solid. And then what? In the minors, he's a 297, 30 and a 303 recorded batting average guy. I think if anything, he's going to return that and have a higher batting average for sure and hitting that 280, 290 range. And then let him get comfortable, get that man body, and then we're really talking.
Yeah, and don't forget, guys, if you tuned out at the end of the year, he did win World Series MVP. He won a Gold Glove. He's going to be a staple in that Astros lineup for years to come. But let's just point out, shortstop is so deep, guys. Just got a few more names for you here. Ahmed Rosario had a very, very good year last year for, Cleveland. He's also got outfield eligibility in most platforms. You check him out. He's decent batting average guy, got a little pop, a little bit of speed. Jake Cronenworth, maybe he'll bounce back in that batting average department. He's on San Diego. He's also got first and second base eligibility as well as shortstop. Good counting stats, a little bit of pop. Nico Horner, a very, very big breakout candidate at the position. Very good on steals, not going to give you too much pop. Counting stats might not be great, but he did hit for a decent average. Javier Baez, stay away from Javier Baez, absolute bust candidate. Tyro Estrada had a decent year last year in San Francisco. You could check him out. Alberto Mondesi. We got to talk about a case of the Mondeses here a little bit, but you can't come to the shortstop show. We have to mention him. If you guys been with us for a while, you know about the case of the Mondeses, and he's got his own hospital wing.
Where's my crutches?
The haterade, Matt. Do we have the haterade with us? Yeah, there we go. So the thing is he's going right now. Mondesi's hurt, but he should be back in sometime in the first month.
Wait, he's hurt.
He is hurt. He is hurt.
Oh, surprise!
Well,
Surprise!
He's still working his way from his injuries last year. But right now, listen, I will take Mondesi this year. The 24th shortstop pick, 237. There's a little bit of value there left. CJ Abrams was one of the high-end prospects last year. He didn't really pan out, but he gets a new start in Washington. Got some speed with him. He's got a little bit of pop. You could check him out. And Matt, let's just throw out some of the young guns real quick, some of the rookies. You have Ezekiel Tovar, you have Elly De La Cruz, you have Jordan Lawler, Oswald Peraza, and Anthony Volpe. If any of those guys make their teams, they're definitely names to be watching out for. We will be doing spring training episodes every Friday, so look out for those, and we will definitely be talking about if these guys make the team. Matt, you want to talk about Elly De La Cruz real quick? Because I know that's one of your dogs. Want to give a little Elly De La Cruz rant before we head out?
Yeah, I think Ellie's just gonna be a stud. Like he's having a great spring.
He sure is.
And he was a monster in the minors. Like he's pretty much the Reds' future over there. Let me just get up his stats real quick. Like a giant last name.
I'll give you the spring training stats while you're going. So far in spring training, Elly De La Cruz, a 21-year-old, 6 games, 14 at-bats, 4 hits, a triple, a home run, 3 RBIs. He's walked 1, struck out 3 times. Not mad at that, though. And he's hitting 286, and he's just an absolute monster in the minors, too. I'll throw out those real quick, and then I'll let Matt finish his rant. In 2022 in the minors, Elly De La Cruz across 2 levels, 121 games, 471 at-bats, 87 runs, 31 doubles, 9 triples, 28 bombs, 86 RBIs, 47 steals, and he had 304. There's a reason we love this kid.
Yeah. And I'm just having technical difficulties. It's not.
Yeah, I got you covered. Got you covered, brother.
Thank you. It's just annoying at this point.
And then he's already in his man body. He's 6'5", 200 pounds. He could even put on maybe 10 pounds of muscle over the next year or so. Elly De La Cruz, if he makes that Reds team, right now I have him buried a little bit in my shortstop rankings at 27. But if he is making that team, I could easily see him shooting up into somewhere around the top 15. Definitely over Dansby Swanson.
Oh yeah. I mean, to be honest, you can't really hate on him for that much because I mean. Swanson's just Swanson, but here we go. I finally got the stats here. So Elly De La Cruz in 2022 in the minors, he had 471 at bats. He had 87 runs. He had 31 doubles, 9 triples, 28 home runs, 86 ribbies. He had 47 stolen bases.
Yes, sir.
And he batted 304. This is just the numbers that you're looking for a guy that's going to come out and hit the ball, hit the ground running. He has all the makings for somebody that can be the guy. Now, I don't think we're going to see that kind of, stats right off the bat. There's going to be an adjustment period, but that second half, especially if he breaks camp, can be pretty magical. And you know what? I'm drafting him with my last pick of the draft, and I'm seeing what happens. I really love De La Cruz this year. I think he's going to be an absolute stud in the future. And for redrafts, he's worth at least a flyer. He has third base eligibility, and you can't really go wrong.
Yeah, right now he's coming off the board as the 41st shortstop, pick 390. Take him with your last pick every time. Or if Jordan Walker somehow winds up being there, I do like Jordan Walker a little bit more. But hey, Elly De La Cruz is definitely a stud. But guys, that is all for today. Please be sure to like, subscribe, comment, rate, and review. Also, check out our website if you already haven't. We have our rankings there. We have a little bit about us. You get access to all of our episodes there. And also, thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. After you make us your first listen, your second listen should be Locked On Houston Astros. We were on their podcast. It should be debuting today or tomorrow. So go to Locked On Houston Astros on YouTube or anywhere you find your podcasts and check it out, and give them some love as well. Tell them that Locked On Fantasy Baseball sent you. But guys, we will be back tomorrow where we will be breaking down our third baseman rankings. But guys, until then,
peace.